man, it's Friday, and I am out in public yet again. It's Dominic D'Angelo, it's Rumor and Innuendo, it's ad-free shows, and yes, as usual, I am here with WD Creative _ish. That's Robert Karplus, if you weren't aware. Robert, how are you?
Dude, you're looking progressively more and more homeless. I'm starting to think he's got the skull cap on, he's got the stubble. You need a little cup to be asking for
Here.
change. Like Hobo Dom is the best gimmick going on in wrestling right now. But we're gonna say hi to some of the fine folks joining us. Why do you have gloves?
Because I'm homeless.
This is even more menacing. I don't like this. Like a hobo boxer. Are they allowed to be called hobos still? I know that there's politically correct ways. They're the unhoused. So if you're watching us now and you are unhoused, I apologize, and I'd be wondering how the hell are you watching us? How do you have a phone?
Right, that's a good
It was so
good
wild.
point.
I was in Manhattan. I'm like, homeless people all had phones. They plug them into outlets. It's. Anyway, E says, seeing isn't believing, believing is seeing. Tim Allen's the Santa Claus. Merry Christmas to all. Sure. I don't
Do you
know.
like the Santa Claus?
Alt Jake.
You a fan of that?
So I'm going to say happy Friday, everyone from Alt Jake. So the Santa Claus, clever concept. I like anything that has a bit of a legal twist to it. I've heard too many stories of people who were part of that production who said Tim Allen was not the greatest dude in the world to work with at the time. So that kind of mars it a little bit. And obviously Tim Allen subsequently has been a polarizing figure.
A North polarizing figure.
I hate you. My favorite bad Tim Allen movie is Jungle to Jungle, if only for the Saturday Night Live Norm Macdonald sketch where he's playing Larry King. And he just turns to the camera at one point. If you see one movie for the rest of your life, make it Jungle to Jungle. Johnny Disco says, hello, R&I. No spoilers. That's right. We will not be spoiling the SmackDown tonight. We will talk about it as if we don't know. Thigh Slaps and Steroids says, good morning and TGIF, everyone. It's Friday night. The mood is right. Go on and have some fun. We'll show you how it's done. DGIF. And then Jeff Henninger points out, big head-to-head tonight. ROH Final Battle versus AEW Rampage. Easily one of my favorite bizarro things that AEW competes with itself. And I'm genuinely baffled as to why they think this is a good idea. You know, you got to pretend that everybody who's watching your product wants to watch all of your content all the time. So why make it more challenging? You know, WWE adjusts things because they don't want to run head to head with themselves. And at one point they were running, at one point we were running 6 days a week in WWE. There was Monday Night Raw. On Tuesday, there was ECW on Sci-Fi. On Wednesday, there was Main Event on WGN, and also the Madison Square Garden retro show that Mean Gene Okerlund was hosting. There was SmackDown on Friday. There was Velocity on Saturday, and Sunday Night Heat on Sunday. You had a whole week of pro wrestling there, guys. It was great. We've got a lot of news stories to talk about here today, Dom. Where would you like to start?
Yeah, I forgot to include this on the lineup, Robert, but did you see all the announcements being made right after we got off the air, basically? AEW made an announcement that about their streaming stuff, what they have planned and what's set up for it. And,
I did.
Wanted to get your thoughts on that, yeah.
So it still seems like the details are a bit murky. They were trying to clarify this, but it is as clear as mud. The AEW will start streaming with their Fight for the Fallen on January 1st, which is a hurricane benefit show. I think we're going to touch on that in a couple minutes, what we think is going to happen on that. But then Dynamite and Collision will be streaming on Max, which is only going to help AEW because a lot of folks out there, unlike, Hobo Dom, have cord cutted because they're like, well, I can just watch everything on streaming. I just watch Netflix or Hulu or whatever that may be. So they might not be watching TBS and TNT programming. Now this is an opportunity for AEW to reach a different audience, an audience that may have heard about AEW, but hey, I don't have cable. I'm just not going to get to watch it. They're also going to start uploading old episodes of Dynamite and Collision. They have not yet really said if they're going to put the pay-per-view archive up there, but they did say later on in the year you'll be able to order the pay-per-views through Max, which is very similar to the model ESPN Plus uses with UFC.
Yeah, it's even indirectly just the fact that they're associated with Max and streaming. It's a good sign, and like just it makes it feel like a bigger deal. So like, yeah, you'd like to see them have the back catalog on there so people can associate with it and kind of acclimate with the product, even though it's changed greatly since then. But yeah, it's a good sign. Let's see how it goes and how it gets organized. Hopefully, it's a good big step forward for them.
I mean, this was
So.
kind of what we have been expecting for the last years. I've been expecting this since they announced the Ring of Honor purchase, because I assume they bought that Ring of Honor library to sweeten the deal for streaming. Because yes, it's great to have the back catalog of Dynamite through 2019 and be able to go back and watch those pay-per-views, because while we have occasionally, once in a while, been slightly critical of AEW's booking, they have a ton of insanely good matches. And people will go back. We found this with WWE Network. They would go back and watch 4-star, 5-star matches that existed over time, not caring what the storyline was. They just wanted to lose themselves in a good match. And AEW is sitting on a treasure trove of fantastic matches, sleeper hit matches, things you might not have seen because it was early AEW debut and it didn't quite have the same audience it ultimately got. So this could be a real nice opportunity for people to reacquaint themselves with AEW, remind themselves of what made that promotion so special, and see some of the bright young talent before the whites faded from their eyes.
And you know what? It maybe might be a way for AEW itself to reacclimate itself for what it was doing right back then too, and what was kind of getting being engaging to the fans. So hopefully, it's a learning lesson for all, Robert.
Well, they need to hope for another pandemic. I think in all honesty, some of their best work was done while they were at Daly's place. They didn't have to worry about travel, they didn't have to worry about logistics, they didn't have to worry about ticket sales. It was just, we can lay out weekly episodic television and we can have fun doing it. But that's going to pivot us to tonight's SmackDown, which
Yes,
is
indeed.
a pre-taped SmackDown. But they had already kind of set what we were going to see on last week's episode of SmackDown. They'd already kind of teed it up in the broadcast, so it's not that we're giving away spoilers. It's not that we're ruining the show, because I don't want to do that.
I
I
don't even know
avoid
it,
those
to be
things.
honest.
That doesn't
Yeah.
surprise me, Dom. Sometimes, look, we're just lucky you remembered to show up. But they had announced last week that Bianca Belair and Naomi were going to be putting the tag titles on the line against Candice LeRae and Nia Jax. So this is advancing two stories at once right now. The first being Candice LeRae is trying to ingratiate herself to Nia with the fact that Tiffany Stratton failed to win the Women's United States title. So now you have an opportunity for Candice to help Nia get be Nia 2 belts, and that is not a joke about her needing 2 belts. I just want to clarify. Don't send your letters. But the other part of that is Naomi sliding into that spot with Bianca. I have my druthers that Naomi may be the one who took out Jade Cargill.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it sounds like we might be getting some hints of that at the very least tonight. I have no idea what's supposed to happen, but could be an intriguing element added as we head towards this WrestleMania season, Robert.
Uh, Alex Shelley and Johnny Gargano, a singles match, the betrayal by Johnny Gargano, and now Alex Shelley gonna try to get his revenge against the dastardly Johnny Wrestling. It's great that Johnny and Candice are both wrestling on this show. That's sweet. Warms the cockles of your heart this close to Christmas, even if they're both evil heels.
Robert, I know you missed this episode, but did want to ask you, what is your favorite Christmas song and by whom?
My favorite Christmas. I'm gonna
This
go.
is important.
Hanukkah song. I'm going to go with the Levies. If you've not listened to the Levies, they are well worth going and checking out. It's one of the folks from Guster, one of the folks from the Zambonis created this little Hanukkah band. Very funny songs. Their album is How Do You Spell Hanukkah? The entire album is great. It is a tradition here. The other thing I love, and I genuinely love it, the South Park Christmas episode where it's all the Christmas songs. I love the dreidel song, which is completely not safe for work and wildly inappropriate for 2024, but also the medley of Santa and Jesus singing all of their songs, and then Santa getting frustrated that there's more Jesus songs than there are Santa songs, and then singing Rio gets me every time. There's also that's also the Christmas Around the World song. That's it. That's the best Christmas album. Levy's. There's a lady looking at you from behind, trying very hard to put her jacket on. Will she do it? Will she? She's close. We're close. We're close. There we go. Jacket is on. Yes. And Ron Ward says, "See, I told you, Merry effing Christmas" by Mr. Garris, and I'm guessing that was his answer.
That was
Very
his
happy
pick.
for Ron Ward. Very happy that lady got her. She's still putting this jacket on. We are 2
You gotta
minutes
be
into
sure.
this lady putting her jacket on. The only thing more uncomfortable than that is going to be watching Braun Strowman on the Grayson Waller effect tonight, because that means we're going to have to see Braun Strowman do two things everybody loves, which is talk and bury talent that's more talented than him.
I had no idea this was set up. This is like a random pairing, it feels like. Hey,
She's
let's
still
put
putting
Braun
that jacket on. Those of
Kids
you
still-
listening to this in
still-
audio format, go back now. We're about 12 minutes in, and just watch as she's slowly fiddling with this jacket.
Maybe she's
Maybe there's
contemplating. It
gloves.
is a
Oh,
wintry
wait.
mix outside.
No, you're blocking it, Dom. We can't see this woman who's now internet famous. Oh no, she's doing other nonsense. All right, we've moved on.
Dang.
Anyway, we're gonna move on from SmackDown. I think the other parts of SmackDown that we absolutely will get, because it is a pre-tape show, I would expect I'm sure at Saturday night's main event they filmed something with Chelsea Green celebrating her win. So we'll get a pre-taped Chelsea Green promo and a video package recapping what Kevin Owens did to Cody, and probably some sort of pre-recorded Kevin Owens victory promo now that he is the Winged Eagle champion.
Do you think we'll get like a statement from Triple H, considering we got a little scuffle with him and Kevin too, maybe?
I don't know if they're going to go into that or not. You know, they really didn't show that part on the replay. So we'll see if that becomes a major story or not. But if it was me, no, because you're not going to get a true payoff. You know, we know Hunter is not physically able to get in the ring, and I don't need his heart exploding. So keep the focus where it needs to be, and that's on Kevin Owens.
Did you hear what friend of the show Bully Ray had to say about this angle? What they should have done with it?
I don't
You would
know.
have loved it, Robert.
I'm going to prove you calling me friend of Bully Ray. That is, of all the ECW originals with whom I will gladly refer to myself as a friend, no.
He thought Kevin should have pile drove Triple H.
That sounds like reckless, terrible booking from Kevin Owens. From Bully Ray. So sure.
Just want to throw that out there.
Appreciate that. I'm throwing it right back to you. Something that we're throwing out there is the rumor and innuendo around a returning former women's world champion, Dom.
Yes, Robert. Mr. Mike Johnson of PW Insider reports that Charlotte Flair is on, quote unquote, on the cusp of returning to the ring. Johnson also writes that Flair was recently at WWE headquarters, where she participated in a photo shoot and similar work ahead of her return. I also saw that she was training in the ring with somebody, a younger talent. I can't remember who it was, or I'd shout them out. But she promoted that girl too that was helping her out. But Robert, how would you incorporate Charlotte Flair back into the mix? Would you put her in this United States title picture? Would you put her on get her in the mix with Nia Jax? How would you get her in her return?
Geez, that's 0 for 2 right there. The thought of making Charlotte have to go wrestle Nia on her return, it kind of feels like Charlotte is teed up to be a surprise Rumble return. So there is the possibility of her winning the whole thing and then going up against either Rhea Ripley, who I think is probably going to take the title off of Liv finally at the Netflix special. I think they need a big moment for that Netflix special, and Rhea Ripley winning the title, finishing the feud makes sense. Or if Tiffany Stratton, because Tiffany has to be the one to take the title off Nia. I feel like
Yeah,
Tiffany
yeah.
has to unseat Nia, and then you can do Tiffany Stratton, Charlotte Flair, because Charlotte does always like to work with some of the newer talent and keep her place. There's a little bit of that Ric Flair insecurity that goes on with her. So we shall see. There's potential other return that I believe is imminent for that first Dynamite of 2025, and that is FTR's mystery tag team partner. There seems to be a lot of rumor and innuendo that it's going to be Mr. Adam Copeland.
It's stemming from Asheville, North Carolina, and that is Adam Copeland's now neck of the woods. He's been a big help during the hurricane season, literally helping people, pulling people out of trouble and everything like that. So, yes, he's on tap. I'm sure. It would be great to see him back in the mix. AEW really needs him, I think, at this juncture, and they need some sort of barometer to kind of keep a star level impact where I think Copeland can still pack that punch. I'm looking forward to seeing him potentially be back here, and I think it's the right move.
I went a little in depth on this with Scott Chaplin on Working Stiff, but my 20-second summation of it is you're going to put Adam Copeland in this match where he's going to be involved with the Death Riders, and I can very easily see this going down a path where we get Adam Copeland versus Jon Moxley, which then leads to Christian interfering in some way and us getting another Adam Copeland Christian feud, and we've suddenly rebooked SmackDown 2009.
Would you be for that, considering
Nope.
how their feud went last? Yeah, neither would
No,
I.
that's the
Neither would
problem. I love Adam Copeland's one of my all-time favorites. I loved working with him. He's usually, when people ask who did you like working with, he's top 2 or 3. It's him, it's John Cena, as guys that are just head and shoulders above everything you hope that they would be as people. But at the same time, I do not want to see an Adam Copeland Jon Moxley feud. I don't want to see another Adam Copeland Christian feud. We'll see what winds up happening there. But another dude that we don't necessarily always love to see from the past is Chris Jericho. But Jericho has given some assurances on our friend Bully Ray's show, Busted Open.
That's right, Robert. He sure did. On Busted Open, Chris Jericho commented on being representing ROH and what that means for the future of that brand. Tony has a plan. This is what Chris Jericho said. Tony has a plan for what he wants to do with it, and I'm happy to be involved. It's been great being on Dynamite promoting this match because this is a Ring of Honor show. To be on Dynamite, to put a spotlight on our show, and then go back to Collision. That's kind of my role in the company, doing whatever Tony wants me to do to the best of my abilities and having a great time doing it. So, like Tony's tongue-in-cheek been kind of hinting at big things to come here for ROH. Deal's been discussed, but nothing's been on the table. Final battle is obviously tonight. So, are we going to get an answer here, like, about what's going to happen, and what would it be ultimately, Robert, do you think, for ROH?
I mean, if Ring of Honor could get a streaming show on Max, I think that would be smart. There's a number of cable outlets that would absolutely be salivating at the opportunity to get a Ring of Honor show. I know that Vice is rebranding. I know True TV is branding to be more of a sports-oriented show, and that's part of the Warner Discovery umbrella. So that seems like a no-brainer. I know there's been a lot of talk about AEW trying to dip their toe into working with Fox. I'm sure FS1 would be more than happy to take on a Ring of Honor television show once a week. The hope is that Tony has this lined up, that using a guy like Chris Jericho as the face of this company is going to generate enough attention and eyeballs to get Ring of Honor a TV show. There's a lot of great talent who do work on the Ring of Honor programs that just aren't seen. Athena jumps to the top of the list as someone who, how is she now? That Coat Lady is back. Coat Lady has returned. She left. It was a fake out, like a fake retirement in wrestling. She is returned, and the coat is coming off. This is crazy booking. This is amazing. She is the all-star of this episode. But yeah, I hope something big happens with Ring of Honor. But I think what's important is the way that Drew McIntyre contextualized the existence of AEW, and I kind of echo his sentiments a little bit.
Yeah, so Drew McIntyre was on TikTok live, and somebody asked him about what he thought about AEW, and he said, "I'm happy to see so many people I'm friends with making a full-time living. That wasn't the case when I was fired in 2014 and reinvented what it meant to be a professional wrestler using social media as I still do to this day at the top level. It's been going since 2014 to rebrand myself, to see how much the industry grew in those years, led to so many places and so many people making a full-time living. It's awesome." And yeah, he said even while he was away, he watched wrestling. He watched, he mentioned TNA. He mentioned AEW. So he's been watching the product. And Robert, I remember back when he got released too. I saw him in 2015 at a House of Hardcore show, and it's just like he had so much work he wanted to get done to reestablish himself. And Drew really speaks to that, and it speaks to how different the wrestling industry has changed since then. Because yeah, everybody's WWE was the primary, only big product, and now we got two viable options here. AEW is smaller, obviously, in the grand scheme of it all, but it is good to see that happening. So yeah, it's kind of neat for Drew to kind of be almost an ambassador of wrestling in that regard, just making the statement that way.
And he's not wrong. The nice thing about AEW is that a lot of people, people that he's friends with, people that I'm friends with, have steady full-time employment. And if AEW were to go away tomorrow, a lot of good quality people would not have a job. And AEW, on top of paying these people, gives them a reasonable schedule. They make a great living wage. They have the opportunity for some of them to get benefits and ply their craft. And I will always be for AEW continuing. Drew McIntyre is the example of a guy who, when you leave WWE, you can reinvent yourself. When he left as part of 3MB and they were released, it was like, well, that's a shame. He had a lot of potential and it was squandered. He got in tremendous shape. He was out there wrestling on the indies. I saw footage of him wrestling over in Europe. He became a buzzed about talent. And when he came back, he is very much what Cody always calls himself, which is undeniable. Drew McIntyre is a dude. You can put the title on him next week and it's credible and it's believable. His feud with CM Punk was probably, we're going to do year end stuff later, was probably feud of the year. And how well he did that and kept it fresh and new and different. And his understanding of tribalism amongst the boys doesn't do anybody any good. It used to do well with WWF and WCW because those companies were actively trying to put each other out of business. That is not the case. Everybody can coexist. Everybody can be happy. How is that for an end of the Friday before Christmas week messaging that lady is back? Some people are speculating that's not the same coat lady. It
I
might
think
be
they're right.
her. Oh, well, that's a shame.
I think
There
it's
was
different.
it's like the fake Undertaker. It's the fake coat lady. But I
It's
do
Brian
appreciate
Lee.
the wrestling old head getting where I was going with back on the escalator. That was a Mallrats reference to wrap this sucker up. But if you want more of this lunacy, you can catch myself and Scott Chaplin on Working Stiff, which is available now wherever you get your podcasts. We talk a little bit of everything going on in AEW, WWE, and the like, and Scott's hernia, which keeps coming up. But if you want to hear about other folks that have ailments and bodies breaking down, those are the people Dominic D'Angelo works with. Dom?
Hey, that's right, Robert. Thank you. Yes, you can hear about the injuries that Greg Gagne and Magnum TA have sustained on Straight Talk with the Boss, Magnum TA, Greg Gagne. Every week we go. Last week, we just recorded a new episode. Magnum talks about Tessa Blanchard's return to wrestling, gives some thoughts on that. Greg Gagne gives his forthright thoughts on Jesse Ventura and why he has lost some respect for him. So, some good comments there. And then we also, this weekend, going live, me and Rob Van Dam with Violent J, Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go to rvdtv.com, tune in live, and get some questions in. Should be a fun show to close out the holiday season for you. So, Robert, it's been a fun week. Yes, I need to find a home.
Yes, Dom will find a home for the holidays, but your home for Rumor and Innuendo is right here on a plethora of platforms, including the WW Creative _ish X account, the SE Scoops X account, Dominic D'Angelo X account, and on YouTube on Working Stiff, ad-free shows, and Rumor and Innuendo. So on behalf of the mendicant who mendican, Dominic D'Angelo, I'm Robert Karpolis. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
Somebody get me a bowl of soup for Christmas. I'm cold.